Madhushka Balasuriya, Cricket Info. Two-part question. First one, actually both could be to Mahela or Chris. There's going to be a lot of conversation about what led to the failings and whatnot. What I want to know is the learnings from this tournament. Obviously, you saw numerous 400-plus scores. You saw a lot of fast bowlers doing really well in the first 10 overs and the importance of that power play period. I just want to know, for this team, there seem to be a lot of areas where the players just couldn't, like, getting past 350, getting close to that 400 mark regularly in one-day cricket. It seemed like the team wasn't capable of getting there. I just want to know the learnings that you all as a team have had watching some of this really high-level cricket. And just the second question is in terms of, more along in lines of the defeat and all that. I think apart from the India game, I think it was the Afghanistan game where there seemed to be a slight shift in thinking where we went from having Kusal Janip Pereira opening to Dimuth Karanatha opening, which is a very different style of player, in terms of strike rate, in terms of how they approach the opening 10 overs. So I just want to know what was the thought process in the team in terms of intent as the tournament progressed.
Madhushka, I'll get Chris to start and then I'll come along afterwards. Is that okay?
Hi, so I'll start with the learnings, some of the things that we can take away from this competition. I think, yes, you've hit a couple of things, hit the nail on the head with a few things there. From a batting perspective, we have to learn to put big scores on the board. If we look, we need to convert more. So we get good starts, we need to convert more of those starts into big hundreds, like we've seen various people do throughout this tournament on the other sides. We need to create big partnerships that will then allow us to go on to score those big scores. And that's all part of our learning as a group, and certainly something we have to work on. I think from a bowling perspective, in the power play, certainly Dilly was a shining light there for us. So I'd like to highlight him there with a new ball. But there are still, again, learnings for us. There's consistency with building pressure at both ends. The ability to take wickets in the middle phase, which will then help us at the death, and obviously just building on skills. So in general, we need to build on the skill set and the ability to build pressure through those 50 overs. And then from a fielding perspective, we need to obviously hold on to more chances. Now, I think had we have held chances, things would have looked slightly different during this tournament. But what I would like to say is that no one means to drop catches, and it's not through lack of hard work. Speaking for myself, I think, obviously, I'm disappointed with how things have gone, having worked so hard with these players and the players having worked so hard to come through the qualifiers to get to where we are. We all want to put our best foot forward. The players have worked extremely hard to do that on the things that we've spoken about, but yet we have to accept there is still much work to be done. So it's, for me, the main question now is how do we put these things right? We need a very good debrief. We need to sit down and dissect everything that's happened. Make a plan going forward, really, for the next cycle. And that's the exciting thing for me. And the one thing that's made me more determined than ever to bring success to SLC is to make sure that we provide an opportunity for these guys to grow and learn. And then come the next World Cup and the T20 World Cup that's coming up, we can obviously go out there and compete and win, which is what we want to do. We're all very proud to wear the Sri Lanka badge on our chest. So that's, for me, that's the thing that we must do now. But yeah, plenty of learnings. Some of them I've just touched on there. Mahela?
Yeah, I think just to cover a few things, specifically on the learnings, we knew that when we went to India, when we saw the wickets, how they were behaving, that we had to play at a very high tempo, which we discussed with the batsmen, something that they were not used to, particularly leading up to the World Cup, because the surfaces we were playing did not allow us to do that, and most of the surfaces that we play in Sri Lanka, because it's a question of us understanding what our skill set is, how are we going to win our strengths. Domestic cricket is being played on slowish wickets, so the batsman will not trust their shot selection on good wickets because they're not used to that. So it was a challenge against high quality bowling units in the World Cup. So this was a discussion, and we gave them the freedom to go out and play that high tempo. I thought the first two games they executed really well. Unfortunately, for me, the biggest game for us, momentum-wise, was the Pakistan game, where we got 340 and we could not defend that. I think if we were able to defend that, things probably would have been much different with the confidence in a tournament like that. Yes, we had a bowling unit that we planned building up to, but unfortunately we couldn't take those 5 bowlers. Unfortunately, those 5 bowlers hadn't played for us together in one single tournament for 16 months. And these are learnings. I mean, how do we keep our best players on the park? That's something that individually as players, they need to be much more disciplined in their fitness and how they go about doing that. As a unit with skill set, they know that where they are. I think Sampath started saying that there's a lot of expectations. I think we have to be realistic about our expectations. Going into this World Cup, we played a qualifiers to get to the World Cup. We knew we were the 2 bottom teams in that pile. And that showed in our performances throughout 2 years. We played, I think, 35 games in the last 16 months, ODI cricket. We have a very good record. Being 20% win percentage, we were up to more than 50. We won 25 games, lost 13 games. That was our record. So we are heading in the right direction. But at the same time, as skill-wise compared to other teams, we need to improve. I think the boys knows that. They've been honest in their conversations during the World Cup. Bowling-wise, we need to be much more consistent. Batting-wise, we need to be much more consistent. For me, the biggest concern is our fielding. Our intensity on the field, we dropped 16 catches, which is the highest in the competition. When you're going with a depleted bowling unit, I think us on the field has to have no mistakes. And that's something with concentration. There's nothing to say they work hard. They work really hard in their fielding, in practices, doing everything that they need to do. But on the field, the anticipation and execution, we do lack. That comes with experience. We knew that when we set this team up 2 years ago with the selectors and the decision was taken, we're going into this 50-over World Cup with less experience. I mean, usually, for us to compete at the highest level, you need a higher group of players with 150, 200 plus games. That would have been a different story. But we didn't have that. So it is an investment for the future. And that we all knew when we made that call. And we were working towards that. The T20 World Cups we had, I thought the skill set allowed us to compete, and we did really well in those World Cups. We won an Asia Cup playing T20 cricket, and we got to the finals in the 50 over. That was a good high point for us. So the thing is, it's a process that we have to trust, and it's a process that we have to be patient with, because this is a skillful group. Most of the guys are in their early 20s or mid 20s. That means they're going to be a force to reckon with going forward. The expectations, I understand. I think the fans, the cricket fans, Sri Lankan fans, they all know that when we go for a World Cup, we're going to do well, we're going to perform well. But that expectations has to be realistic, and along with the plans. I think people jumping and shouting and screaming has to realize what is modern day cricket is and how are we going to compete going forward. And the plans have been set, but we just need to be patient and work harder in areas where we need to improve. I think Chris touched on some of the areas. For me, the biggest thing is the fitness. What I notice over the course of a tournament like this, because of our fitness, the fatigue got into us and the performance died down. From first game towards the last game, we saw guys making a lot more mistakes. That happens with mental and physical fatigue. The execution and the concentration lacks is because of that. And that's something that we've spoken about. So there are areas we know we need to improve going forward. Our domestic cricket, the skill set, the standard needs to improve, the fitness needs to improve. There's no hiding behind that. And we all, as part of a management group, trying to get this project the right track, understand that, and we take full responsibility for that. There's no hiding behind any closed doors. We've openly had conversations with the boys. They know what they need to do and how they need to improve. And us as coaches and advisors and doing all this, we take full responsibility. But it is a process that we all have to trust and be patient. And hopefully one day, 3 years, 4 years down the line, when we see the success, we all can humbly be satisfied that what we put in place has worked.
Vidu.